All right, what's up guys? My name is Patrick and today I'm doing a 1-year review on my Nissan 370z. I bought this last year and I've done a lot with it. I've done about 4 different track days, I've modified it, I've daily driven it, and yeah, I think it's safe to say I know my way around this car. I'm going to be splitting this video up into different parts. I'm going to talk about the reliability, the interior, the exterior, track capabilities, and then just give my final thoughts. And tell you what, while we're walking around the outside, let me just do the exterior first. I think that's easy. This car looks awesome. I think the Nissan 370z is one of the best looking cars in its price range. Like, the wide hips, don't mind the the scratch from the previous owner. The super wide hips look amazing, especially up here, like this angle with this fender. Oh, it looks so good. Pair that with some nice wheels and tires, and like, it just is a very, very good looking car. I've never loved the bumpers on the early models. I think the Nissan Z looks a lot better, but this isn't that bad. Headlights are also very good in the dark. They're pretty bright, and I think that they look fine. You've got these interesting kind of lobster claw taillights. I think they look pretty good. A massive gas cap. It's huge. That's my entire hand. Pretty insane. Big, big, big rear hatch. We'll talk more about that when we get to the interior. Overall, I think it's a very, very good looking car, and honestly, every time I walk away from it, I have to look back because it just looks very, very good, in my opinion. Now, moving into the interior, let's just start with the trunk while we're out here. You have a button down here that releases the trunk. And, you know, honestly, it's not the most practical vehicle in the entire world. The actual space is obviously very wide. I mean, this hatch is huge, but it's very, very shallow. So if you need to fit like long items, that's fine. But anything tall, you're kind of out of luck. I found that for track days, I take the spare tire out and it actually buys a lot more room. It basically doubles the height. So it's probably about, you know, this tall. So that makes a really, really big difference when you're hauling track tools. Definitely taking out that spare tire helps. You do get keyless entry, so you can lock the car and unlock it from the door handle. Proximity sensor. Door card is pretty good. You have this nice kind of suede material. Soft touch all up in here. Window switches down here. Pretty solid. One kind of complaint is that it doesn't go up very high, so I find that if I'm like resting my elbow here, my arm kind of isn't long enough to get to the steering wheel. So just noting that. Overall, the interior is good. I mean, this car is kind of like a grand touring luxury car. It's very plush. Everything in here is soft touch. There are some rattles, you know, it's an older car and it's a Nissan, so that's to be expected. But you have pretty good technology. You have Bluetooth calling. You do not have Bluetooth audio on my year, at least, to 2012. You only have Bluetooth calling, so that's kind of a bummer. Seat heaters. The HVAC actually rips. The AC blows super cold. Heat is great, so HVAC is awesome. The gauges have a nice modern look to them. You do have a menu up here, though I kind of find it a little bit ugly and a little bit kind of useless, but it's there. Automatic headlights, these are awesome. Overall, yeah, it's a pretty basic interior, but everything is good. You know, you feel comfortable in it. Up here, you've got oil temperature, battery voltage, and time. I wish one of these was an oil pressure gauge, but you can do that in the aftermarket. Mine's not working at the moment. Good stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, interior is good. Nothing that I'm ashamed of. And I feel very, very comfortable driving this car to work. So the notorious VQ engine is actually a very good engine if you're not tracking it. I think as a street car, this engine is perfect. It's got lots of torque, it revs high, and honestly, it's pretty fast. These typically stay reliable as long as you do the oil gallery gaskets, and if you're tracking it, you really have to worry about the cooling system. I have some Z1 2.5-inch cold air intakes that actually go towards the bumper right here. I also have an ECUTEK tune by Z1 as well, and I have an ISR single exit exhaust. I went with the single exit because it's cheaper and it saves weight. Obviously, you get a manual parking brake. Clutch is a little bit tricky to get used to. It's kind of a very vague feeling, and honestly, the clutches in these cars have a lot of issues. The slave cylinder is inside the actual bell housing, so an issue is on track they tend to heat up and you lose your clutch, which I experienced in my very first track day. Some new fluid did solve that though. One of my all-time favorite features in this car is the automatic rev match, and the fact that the 370Z was the first car with auto rev match is really cool. It's just so buttery. And like, it is genuinely a very quick car. Like, on the street, man, it's so fun. This car with shorter gearing would just be like, it would be perfection, honestly. That would just be perfect. I never feel like I don't have enough power, and honestly, it's kind of a lot of power in general. Like, you break speed limits really, really easily in this car. So just, keep that in mind. But in terms of reliability, I really have not had any issues that were not caused by myself. I've had issues with oil leaks, but that was my doing. And now I'm back to the stock oil cooler, as you can tell by the 220 oil temp. And reason being, the car takes a very long time to heat up and get to operating temperature when you have an oil cooler. And I found that it really kind of ruins the experience on the street, because most of my drives are like within 15 minutes. So I wasn't really able to drive the car that hard because it would just never be up in operating temperature. So in terms of reliability, a couple main issues: gallery gaskets, slave cylinder. If you address those two, the VQ is a genuinely really, really strong engine, and it's very just robust. It feels like you're kind of driving like a tank in the sense that it's very reliable. It's this low, deep rumble, and it never feels like you can't just kind of beat on it, which is really, really nice. Suspension is super plush. It's a bit soft, but honestly, I think for the street, it's perfect. I wouldn't even recommend doing coilovers on this car if it's just like a street car, because if you throw a front and rear sway bar, I have Z1 kit, it just turns the handling up a notch, and it makes it like this perfect blend of comfortable for these potholes, but still really capable, and it takes out a lot of the body roll. Yeah, it's really fun. It sounds so good. Oh. It's a very, very, very good street car. Just rowing through the gears. Moving into kind of my thoughts on how this car is on track, honestly, it's a little bit disappointing. The overheating issue is genuine. Within about 2 laps on track, I was around 250 degrees for oil temperature, so it's kind of unusable in stock form, if I'm being completely honest. you have to do an oil cooler day one on track, and that is a genuine bummer. I haven't experienced a lot of issues with braking. Heat management with that seems okay. I've heard people complain about it, but in my experience, it hasn't been that big of an issue. Handling is, honestly, that part's pretty good. I feel like sway bars genuinely helped this car out, and on track, I felt like it was a comfortable experience. I felt like the car was pretty predictable. It obviously didn't like wow me with the transitions, right? It's a pretty heavy car, and you can kind of feel it like load up each corner. It's not like super quick to respond, but hey, for stock suspension, it's not bad, and it is kind of a heavier car, so it's to be expected. So, let's get some AC in here. Would I recommend a 370Z? As a street car, yes, 100%. This is awesome. It's loads of fun, really comfortable, and you can just drive it all day. As a track car, I don't think that I would. I think, the steering is kind of vague, it's a heavier car, the cooling's not good, so honestly, there's a lot that you kind of have to fix to get it in a good spot on track. So, hey, if you just want a car that is a super fun time on the street, it's very comfortable, this is awesome. If you want like a out-of-the-box package that can go to the track, do full 20-minute sessions, this is not it. You're gonna have to do a lot of work. And, honestly, I was okay with that, and a lot of people are. Like, these are great platforms. It just requires some work. With that, those are a few of my thoughts after having owned my 370Z for a year now. Love to know what you guys think in the comments, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.